Captain Dae-ho Kim stood at the viewing window of Earth's orbital station. His dark eyes were fixed on the massive field of metal that floated in space before him. The so-called gift from the Galactic Concord stretched for miles. Chunks of metal, old ship parts, broken machines, and strange devices filled the space around Earth's orbit. "What do you think, Captain?" asked Ambassador Lee, who stood beside him. The older man's face showed worry. Dae-ho did not look away from the window. "They gave us their trash," he said simply. 6 months ago, Earth had made first contact with the Galactic Concord, a group of alien races that ruled most of the known galaxy. The aliens had technology that made Earth's best machines look like toys. They had faster-than-light travel, energy shields, and weapons that could destroy planets. The aliens had agreed to let Earth join their Concord as the newest member. This junkyard was their welcome gift. The Concord representatives called it starter technology, said Ambassador Lee. His voice was tight with anger. "They said it would help us catch up." Dae-ho finally turned from the window. At 35, he was young for his rank, but his skills as an engineer had moved him up quickly in Earth's space program. "They're laughing at us," he said. "This is how they see us, as beings who should be grateful for their garbage." Ambassador Lee nodded. "The Defense Council is meeting tomorrow to decide what to do with all this junk. Most want to melt it down for raw materials." Dae-ho looked back at the field of scrap. Something had been forming in his mind since he first saw the alien junk. A crazy idea, but one that wouldn't let go. "I want to be at that meeting," he said. The Defense Council chamber was filled with Earth's top military and political leaders. Screens around the room showed the junkyard from different angles. "It's an insult," General Park was saying. "They give us their trash and expect us to be grateful." "But it is alien technology," said Dr. Yoon, the head of Earth's science division. "Even their outdated tech is centuries ahead of ours." Dae-ho sat quietly, waiting for his turn to speak. Beside him sat his oldest friend, Ji-Soo Park. She was Earth's top expert on power systems and had been the first person Dae-ho had called after seeing the junkyard. "What exactly are we looking at?" asked President Cho. "What's in this pile of junk?" Dr. Yoon touched her screen. "Ship parts mainly. Engines, power cores, hull sections, weapon mounts, all damaged, outdated, or broken. The Concord said they were being kind by giving us technology we could study." "Study? We can barely understand how any of it works," said General Park. President Cho looked tired. "Options? Melt it down," said General Park immediately. "Use the raw materials for our own ships and stations." "Try to repair the best pieces," suggested Dr. Yoon. "We might get some working technology out of it." President Cho noticed Dae-ho. "Captain Kim, you asked to be here. What are your thoughts?" Dae-ho stood up. His heart was beating fast, but his voice was steady. "Madam President, Honored Council, I propose we build a warship." The room went quiet. Then General Park laughed. "From that garbage? Impossible." "Not impossible," said Dae-ho. "Difficult, yes. But look at what we have there. The parts may be broken or outdated by Concord standards, but they're still far beyond our technology. With enough study and work, we could combine these parts into something new." "Even if that were possible," said the general, "it would take years." 3 years, said Dae-ho. "Give me 3 years, a team of our best engineers, and full access to the junkyard. We'll build a ship that can defend Earth." "Why a warship?" asked President Cho. "The Concord has accepted us as members." Ji-Soo spoke up for the first time. "Madam President, the way they treated us with this gift shows how they really see us. We're not equals in their eyes. We're primitives who should be grateful for scraps. If we want real respect in this galaxy, we need to show strength." President Cho was quiet for a long moment. "Let's say we approve this project, Captain Kim. What kind of ship are you proposing?" Dae-ho touched his own screen and a rough design appeared on the main display. "We've already started basic plans. We call it the Phoenix. It will rise from the ashes of this junkyard." The design showed a ship unlike any Earth had built before. It had elements that were clearly alien, but the overall shape was uniquely human. "This is just the starting point," said Dae-ho. "As we learn more about the alien tech, the design will change." "Where would this be built?" asked General Park. He was no longer laughing. "In orbit," said Dae-ho. "We'll need a space dock large enough to hold the ship as it's being built." "And a crew?" "Engineers at first. Once the ship is ready, we'll need a proper military crew." President Cho looked at the design for a long time. The Conquered might not like us building a warship from their gift. The gift was given with no conditions, said Ambassador Lee. They said we could use it however we wished. I suspect they never imagined we could do anything truly useful with it. President Cho nodded slowly. Captain Kim, Engineer Park, you have 1 month to show me this is possible. If you can demonstrate real progress in understanding and using these alien parts, I'll approve the full project. Daeho bowed slightly. Thank you, Madam President. 1 month later, Daeho and Jisoo stood in a small lab on the orbital station. Before them was a strange device made of both Earth technology and alien parts. It hummed with energy. President Cho and several council members watched from behind a safety barrier. What are we looking at? Asked the president. A power system, said Jisoo. We've managed to get one of the alien power cores working. It's producing 10 times the energy of our best reactor, despite being what the Conquered would consider junk. And you've done this in just 1 month? Asked Dr. Yoon, clearly impressed. We've done more than that, said Daeho. He touched a screen and a door opened in the far wall. A small drone floated into the room. It was the size of a basketball and clearly built from both human and alien parts. This drone is powered by the alien core, said Daeho. But more importantly, it's protected by an energy shield. General Park's eyes widened. Energy shields are one of the technologies the Concord hasn't shared with us. They didn't need to share it, said Jisoo with a smile. It was right there in the junk pile. A broken shield generator from some old ship. We fixed it and made it work with our systems. Daeho touched another control and a small laser fired at the drone. A blue bubble of energy appeared around the drone and the laser beam bounced off harmlessly. The council members murmured in amazement. We've only begun to explore what's in that junkyard, said Daeho. Give us 3 years and we'll build a ship that will make Earth proud, and make the Conquered think twice about how they treat us. President Cho nodded slowly. You have your 3 years, Captain. Project Phoenix is approved. 3 months later, Daeho stood in the newly built space dock. It was huge, large enough to hold a ship 3 times the size of anything Earth had built before. The dock floated in orbit near the junkyard, making it easy to bring in parts. Workers moved around him, sorting through pieces of alien technology. Some parts went to research teams for study. Others went directly to the growing frame of the Phoenix. Jisoo walked up to him, her tablet showing the latest test results. The power core integration is working better than expected. We'll have main systems online within 6 months? Daeho nodded. What about the hull material? Amazing stuff, said Jisoo. Even the damaged sections are stronger than our best alloys. And when we repair them using the techniques we've developed, they're even stronger. Daeho looked at the growing skeleton of the Phoenix. Already it was taking shape, a mix of sleek human design and alien tech. They gave us junk, he said softly. Jisoo smiled. And we're building something they never imagined, a voice called from across the dock. Captain Kim, we found something. Daeho and Jisoo hurried over to where a team was opening a large container that had just been brought in from the junkyard. Inside was a complex device, undamaged, but clearly very old. What is it? Asked Daeho. The lead researcher looked up, his eyes wide with excitement. If I'm reading the Conquered symbols correctly, it's a weapon system. And not just any weapon system, it's a main ship cannon. Outdated by their standards maybe, but far beyond anything we have. Daeho and Jisoo exchanged looks. The Phoenix was meant to be a defensive ship, a protector for Earth. But with a main cannon like this, get it to the weapons team, said Daeho. Let's see what it can do. As the container was taken away, Daeho looked out at the stars through the dock's viewing window. They think we're primitive, he said. They think we should be grateful for their scraps. In 3 years, they'll learn what humans can do with junk. Jisoo stood beside him, her eyes also on the stars. They'll learn to fear what they created. The Phoenix was taking shape piece by piece, scrap by scrap, and when it was done, the galaxy would never be the same. 3 years passed quickly. The space dock that held the Phoenix was now a hive of activity. Hundreds of engineers and workers moved through the massive structure, all focused on one goal, completing Earth's first true starship. Daeho walked through the main engineering deck, checking progress reports on his tablet. The Phoenix had grown from a dream to reality. Its hull gleamed, a mix of repaired alien metals and human-made alloys. Inside, it was a marvel of combined technologies. Captain, called a voice. Daeho turned to see Hanbin Lee, the youngest member of the engineering team. At just 26, Hanbin had proven himself a genius at understanding alien technology. "You need to see this." Daeho followed Hanbin to a testing chamber. Inside, a strange device sat on a platform. It looked like a metal sphere with glowing blue lines running across its surface. "What am I looking at?" asked Daeho. Hanbin's eyes were bright with excitement. "I found a way to combine 3 different alien power systems. Each one was broken or outdated, but together." He touched a control, and the sphere began to pulse with energy. Together, they create something new. Daeho checked the readings on the nearby screen. The energy output was massive, far beyond what they had achieved before. "This could power the main weapon system," said Daeho. Hanbin nodded eagerly. "And the shields, and the engines, all at once with power to spare." Daeho placed a hand on the young engineer's shoulder. "Excellent work. Get with Jisoo and start integrating this into the main power grid." As Hanbin hurried off, Daeho's communicator beeped. "Captain Kim," said a tense voice. "The Concord inspector has arrived earlier than expected. He's demanding to see you immediately." Daeho sighed. The Galactic Concord had been sending inspectors every 6 months since Project Phoenix began. Each one left thinking the humans were making slow, primitive progress. Daeho and his team had been careful to hide their real advances. "I'll be right there," he said. The Concord inspector waited in the dock's meeting room. He was tall and thin, with blue-tinted skin and large dark eyes. His name was Zeltharian, and he made no effort to hide his boredom. "Captain Kim," he said as Daeho entered. His translator made his words sound flat. "I see your project continues." "Inspector Zeltharian," said Daeho with a slight bow. "We weren't expecting you for another week." The alien waved a long-fingered hand. "The Concord Council requested an early report. They are concerned about how you are using our generous gift." Daeho kept his face neutral. "As we've reported, we're building a ship for exploration and defense. Nothing more." Yes. Zeltharian looked down at his own device. "And after 3 years, you have managed to create a basic hull and some simple systems. Quite impressive. For humans." The condescension was clear in his voice. Daeho forced himself to remain calm. "We're learning as we go," he said. "Much of the technology is still beyond our full understanding." "Naturally," said Zeltharian. "Now show me what you've accomplished since my last visit." Daeho led the inspector through a carefully planned tour. He showed him the outer hull, which was complete but looked rough and unfinished. He showed him the bridge, which had only basic controls installed. He showed him the engine room, where outdated alien drives sat, seemingly only partially connected. What he didn't show was the true Phoenix. He didn't show the advanced weapons systems hidden behind false walls. He didn't show the revolutionary power core that Hanbin had created. He didn't show the cutting-edge control systems that could run the entire ship with a crew of just 20. "As you can see," said Daeho as they finished the tour, "we're making progress but slowly." Zeltharian made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You call this progress? By Concord standards, this vessel would be considered barely functional. It would not survive a single encounter with any real threat." "We do what we can with what we have," said Daeho humbly. The inspector made some notes on his device. "The council will be pleased to know that humans are staying within their capabilities. Your use of our gift is appropriate." After Zeltharian left, Jisoo joined Daeho in the meeting room. "Did he suspect anything?" she asked. Daeho shook his head. "No. He sees what he expects to see, primitive humans struggling with advanced technology." Jisoo smiled. "If he knew what we've really built." "He'd report us to the Concord immediately," said Daeho, "and they might not be so generous next time." He looked out the window at the Phoenix. From the outside, it looked like a patchwork of different materials, rough and unfinished. The perfect disguise. "How long until we're ready for a test flight?" 2 weeks, said Jisoo. "All essential systems are operational. We're just running final checks. Daeho nodded. Good. It's time to see if the Phoenix can fly. 2 weeks later, Daeho stood on the bridge of the Phoenix. Around him, a small crew worked at their stations. Each was an expert in their field, chosen personally by Daeho and Jisoo. All systems check complete, reported Soo-Jin Yoon, the weapons specialist. Unlike the rest of the crew, who wore the blue uniforms of the Earth Space Command, Soo-Jin wore the black uniform of Earth's military. Weapons are ready but offline as ordered. Power systems at full capacity, said Hanbin from the engineering station. The new core is performing even better than expected. Jisoo sat at the main engineering console. Engines ready, shields ready. All systems show green. Daeho took a deep breath. This was the moment they had worked toward for 3 years. Communications. Inform Space Command we are ready for departure. Min-ho Choi, at the communications station, spoke into his headset. After a moment, he looked up. Space Command gives us clearance to launch, Captain. Daeho sat in the captain's chair. It felt right, like it had been made for him. In a way, it had. Every part of the Phoenix had been designed with care, a perfect blend of alien technology and human ingenuity. Release docking clamps, ordered Daeho. There was a series of heavy clanks as the massive clamps that held the Phoenix in place were withdrawn. Take us out slow and steady, said Daeho to the pilot, Yoonji Kang. Yoonji's hands moved over her controls. The Phoenix began to move forward, gliding out of the space dock into open space. We are clear of the dock, reported Yoonji. Awaiting your orders, Captain. Daeho looked at the main screen, which showed Earth below them and the vast field of stars above. Set course for the lunar testing range, 1/4 power. The ship accelerated smoothly. On the outside, it might look like a patchwork of materials, but inside, it moved like a living thing, responsive and powerful. 1/4 power gives us a velocity of... This can't be right, said Yoonji, checking her readings. We're moving at twice the speed we calculated. Hanbin looked up from his station. The new power core is providing more energy to the engines than we expected. We're operating at 200% of projected efficiency. Daeho smiled. Adjust calculations and continue to the lunar range. The trip to the moon, which would have taken an Earth ship days, took the Phoenix just hours. They arrived at the testing range on the far side of the moon, out of sight from Earth. Begin testing sequence, ordered Daeho. Over the next several hours, they tested every system on the ship. The engines responded perfectly, allowing the Phoenix to move with a speed and agility that no ship its size should have. The shields deflected test projectiles with ease. The sensors detected objects millions of miles away with perfect clarity. They did not test the weapons. That would come later, when they were farther from Earth. As the testing continued, Jisoo joined Daeho at his station. It's working better than we hoped, she said quietly. Daeho nodded. The Phoenix is everything we dreamed it could be. And the Conquered has no idea, added Jisoo with a smile. Captain, called Min-ho from the communications station. His voice was tense. I'm receiving a distress call. Daeho turned. From where? The New Hope colony on Mars. Min-ho listened to his headset. They're under attack. A ship of unknown origin has appeared and is firing on the settlement. The bridge went silent. New Hope was Earth's first off-world colony, established on Mars just 2 years ago. It was home to 5,000 people. How far are we from Mars? Asked Daeho. Yoonji checked her console. At full power, 3 hours. Space Command vessels would take days to reach them, said Jisoo. We're the only ones who can help in time. Daeho knew she was right. The Phoenix was untested in real combat. The weapons had never been fired outside of simulations. The crew was small and inexperienced, but there were 5,000 lives at stake. Set course for Mars, maximum speed, ordered Daeho. All hands to battle stations. Soo-Jin, bring weapon systems online. Soo-Jin's eyes widened. Yes, sir. Her fingers moved quickly over her console. "Are we really doing this?" asked Jisoo quietly. The Phoenix was meant for defense, not for combat? Daeho finished her thought. Sometimes the best defense is to show that we can protect our own. The Phoenix will have its trial by fire. The ship turned and accelerated toward Mars. On screens throughout the bridge, status indicators changed from green to red as the Phoenix prepared for its first battle. "Weapons online," reported Sujin. "Main cannon charged, defense systems ready." "Shields at maximum," said Hanbin. "Communications, send a message to Space Command," said Daeho. "Inform them that the Phoenix is responding to the distress call from New Hope." As Minho sent the message, Daeho looked around at his crew. The Phoenix raced through space toward Mars. On the bridge, Daeho watched the main screen as the red planet grew larger. Behind him, the crew worked at their stations, preparing for what was to come. "Status report," said Daeho. "Engines at maximum," reported Jisoo from engineering. "Power core is stable. Weapons fully charged," said Sujin. "Main cannon and all secondary systems ready." "Shields at full strength," added Hanbin. Minho looked up from the communications station. "Captain, I've received an update from New Hope Colony. The attacking ship is still in orbit. It's firing on the main settlement. There are reports of casualties." Daeho's jaw tightened. "Any identification on the attacking ship?" "Colonial forces believe it's Virex," said Minho. A murmur ran through the bridge. The Virex were pirates who preyed on the outer worlds of the conquered. They were known for their brutality and their advanced ships. "The Virex shouldn't be in this system," said Jisoo. "Earth is under conquered protection. It seems the Virex don't care about that," said Daeho. "Or perhaps they don't believe the Concord would defend a new member like Earth." He turned to Yoonji at the pilot station. "Time to arrival?" 20 minutes, Captain," Daeho nodded. "All hands prepare for battle." "This is not a drill. The Phoenix is about to face its first real test." He looked at Sujin. "Weapons Officer Yoon, your simulations are about to become reality." Sujin straightened in her seat. "The weapons will perform, Captain." "I guarantee it. Good." Daeho turned to Minho. "Open a channel to Space Command." The communications officer worked his controls, then nodded. "Space Command, this is Captain Kim of the Phoenix," said Daeho. "We are approaching Mars and preparing to engage the hostile ship attacking New Hope Colony." The response came quickly. "Phoenix, this is General Park at Space Command. Your orders are to observe only. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Conquered forces have been notified and are responding." Daeho exchanged a look with Jisoo. They both knew what that meant. Concord ships would take days to reach Mars. By then, New Hope could be destroyed. "Space Command, with respect, the Phoenix is the only ship that can help New Hope now. We are proceeding with the engagement." There was a long pause. Then, "Understood, Phoenix. Be advised you are exceeding your mission parameters. All actions are your responsibility." "Acknowledged," said Daeho. "Phoenix out." Minho closed the channel. "Captain, Concord regulations forbid member races from engaging in combat without approval." "We're not looking for their approval," said Daeho. "We're protecting our people." The minutes ticked by as Mars grew larger on the screen. Soon they could see the Virex ship in orbit. It was larger than the Phoenix with a sleek, predatory design. Energy weapons fired from its lower hull, striking the surface of the planet. "Scan the hostile ship," ordered Daeho. Hanbin worked his console. "Scanning. It's a Virex Raider class. Heavy weapons, strong shields. Crew of approximately 50. Its technology is current Concord standard, far more advanced than what we were supposed to be able to build." "But not more advanced than what we did build," said Jisoo. Daeho nodded. "Yoonji, take us in. Full combat approach. Sujin, target their weapon systems first. Hanbin, divert additional power to forward shields." The crew responded with calm efficiency. The Phoenix accelerated toward the Virex ship, which still seemed unaware of their approach. "They're not detecting us," said Minho in surprise. "Our hull is a mix of materials that their standard sensors aren't designed to recognize," explained Hanbin. "We appear as space debris until they get a visual." Daeho smiled grimly. "Another advantage of building from junk. Let's use it." He turned to Sujin. "Prepare to fire as soon as we're in range." The Phoenix closed in on the Virex ship. They were nearly in weapons range when the pirate vessel suddenly changed position. "They've spotted us," reported Hanbin. "They're powering up weapons," added Sujin. "They're targeting us." "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Daeho. "Maintain weapons lock." The Phoenix swerved as the Virex ship fired. Energy beams sliced through the space where they had been moments before. "Return fire," said Daeho. "Target their main weapons array." Sujin's fingers danced over her console. The Phoenix shuddered slightly as the main cannon fired for the first time. A brilliant beam of energy shot from the ship and struck the Virex vessel's lower hull. The pirate ship rocked from the impact. "Direct hit," exclaimed Sujin. "Their forward weapons are damaged." "They're coming about," reported Yunji. "They're preparing to fire again." "Maintain evasive pattern," said Daeho. "Sujin, prepare another shot." The Virex ship fired again. This time one of the beams grazed the Phoenix's hull. "Shields holding at 92%, reported Hanbin. "No damage to the hull." "They're hailing us," said Minho in surprise. Daeho raised an eyebrow. "Put them through." The main screen changed to show the bridge of the Virex ship. A humanoid figure with mottled gray skin and sharp features glared at them. The Virex captain. "Unidentified vessel," the pirate said, his words translated by the ship's computer. "You have interfered with Virex business. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Daeho stood facing the screen. "This is Captain Daeho Kim of the Earth Defense Vessel Phoenix. You are attacking an Earth colony. Power down your weapons and withdraw, or we will disable your ship." The Virex captain's eyes widened slightly. "Earth vessel? Impossible. Earth has no ships with such capabilities." "As you can see, you're wrong," replied Daeho. "This is your final warning." The Virex captain snarled something that the translator didn't catch. Then the screen went dark. "They're powering up all remaining weapons," reported Sujin. "They're targeting our engines," added Hanbin. Daeho returned to his chair. "Evasive pattern Delta. Target their power core." "Fire when ready." The Phoenix moved in a complex pattern, making it harder for the Virex to get a lock. The pirate ship fired repeatedly, but most of the shots missed. Those that hit were absorbed by the Phoenix's shields. "Shields at 78%, reported Hanbin. "Still holding strong." "Firing main cannon," said Sujin. Again, the ship shuddered as the powerful weapon discharged. The beam struck the Virex ship's midsection, causing a visible explosion. "Direct hit to their secondary power systems," said Hanbin. "Their shields are down to 30%. "They're trying to withdraw," reported Yunji. "They're breaking orbit." "We can't let them escape," said Daeho. "They'll return with more ships." "Target their engines." Sujin locked onto the fleeing ship. "Ready to fire." "Fire." The main cannon fired a third time. The beam struck the Virex ship's engines. There was a massive explosion and the pirate vessel began to drift. "Their main engines are disabled," reported Hanbin. "They're running on emergency power." "They're hailing us again," said Minho. Daeho nodded and the Virex captain appeared on screen once more. This time the pirate's arrogance was gone, replaced by shock and anger. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "No first-generation spacefaring race should have weapons like yours." "You chose the wrong planet to raid," replied Daeho simply. "Power down all your systems and prepare to be boarded." The Virex captain's expression twisted with rage. "This isn't over, human. The Virex will remember this." The screen went dark again. "They've activated some kind of emergency system," reported Hanbin urgently. "Energy readings are spiking." "They're going to self-destruct," said Sujin. "Back us off," ordered Daeho. "Maximum distance." Yunji pushed the Phoenix's engines to their limit, putting distance between them and the Virex ship. Moments later, the pirate vessel exploded in a blinding flash of light. "Radiation surge detected," said Hanbin. "Shields absorbing it. We're safe." Daeho let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Damage report." "Minor damage to outer hull sections," reported Jisoo. "Nothing critical." "Shields are recharging already." "And the colony?" asked Daeho. Minho checked his console. "New Hope reports multiple buildings damaged, 23 injuries but no fatalities. They're sending their thanks, Captain." Daeho nodded. "Open a channel to Space Command." When the connection was established, Daeho reported, "Space Command, this is the Phoenix. The hostile vessel has been destroyed. New Hope colony is secure." There was a long pause before General Park's voice came through. "Understood, Phoenix. The Conquered has been informed of the situation. They're requesting details on how an Earth vessel was able to defeat a Virex raider." Daeho looked at Jisoo, who gave a small smile. Tell them we were lucky, General. The Phoenix performed beyond expectations. Return to Earth immediately, Captain Kim, said the General. The Defense Council wants a full debriefing. Understood. Phoenix out. Daeho turned to Yunji. Set course for Earth. As the Phoenix turned away from Mars, Daeho looked around at his crew. They were tired but proud. Their ship, built from alien junk, had just defeated one of the most feared pirate vessels in the galaxy. You all performed admirably, he said. Today the Phoenix proved itself, but this is just the beginning. The Virex will spread the word, said Sujin. They'll tell others about us. Good, said Daeho. Let them know that Earth is not defenseless. Let them know that we can protect our own. Jisoo joined him at the captain's chair. The Conquered will have questions, she said quietly. They'll want to know how we built a ship like this from their junk. Let them ask, replied Daeho. We didn't break any rules. We used what they gave us. They never imagined we could do this. 2 weeks after the battle at Mars, Daeho stood before the Earth Defense Council. The large meeting room was packed with military leaders, government officials, and representatives from the Galactic Concord. Captain Kim, said President Cho from her seat at the center of the council table, your actions at Mars have created a complicated situation. Daeho stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back. Madam President, the Phoenix was built to defend Earth and its colonies. That's exactly what we did. No one questions your intentions, said General Park. The issue is how your ship was able to defeat a modern Virex raider. The Concord is concerned. Daeho glanced at the Concord representatives. Among them was Zeltharion, the inspector who had visited the Phoenix many times during its construction. The alien's expression was unreadable, but his posture was tense. We used the technology that was gifted to us, said Daeho carefully. We studied it, repaired it, and adapted it to our needs. You did far more than that, said Zeltharion, speaking for the first time. His translator made his voice sound cold. The Phoenix displayed capabilities that should be impossible given the materials provided to you. Our analysts have reviewed the battle data. Your weapons, shields, and propulsion systems all operate at levels that match or exceed current Concord standards. We're good at fixing things, said Daeho with a slight smile, and at improving them. Ambassador Lee, seated to the right of President Cho, leaned forward. What the captain means to say is that human engineers have certain creative approaches that might differ from Concord methods. Zeltharion made a sound that might have been a scoff. Creative approaches do not explain how you turned scrap into a warship that destroyed a Virex raider with minimal damage. President Cho raised a hand for silence. The fact remains, Captain Kim's actions saved the New Hope colony. 5,000 lives were protected because the Phoenix was there. She turned to Zeltharion. The Concord granted us membership and gave us technology with no restrictions on its use. We have broken no rules. The alien's large eyes narrowed slightly. That is technically correct, Madam President. However, the Concord Council is re-evaluating certain policies regarding technology transfer to new member races. In other words, said General Park bluntly, they're upset that we did more with their junk than they expected. Zeltharion did not respond directly to this. The Concord requests that the Phoenix be made available for a thorough inspection by our technical experts. Daeho and Jisoo, who stood beside him, exchanged quick glances. A thorough inspection would reveal all the innovations they had hidden during previous visits. I'm afraid that won't be possible at this time, said President Cho smoothly. The Phoenix is undergoing repairs and upgrades following the battle. Perhaps in a few months. This is not a request that can be delayed, insisted Zeltharion. Ambassador Lee stepped in. According to Concord Membership Protocol, Section 47B, member races have the right to protect sensitive military technology, even from the Concord itself, if it was developed independently. But it was not developed independently, argued Zeltharion. You used Concord technology. We used discarded parts that were given to us unconditionally, corrected Ambassador Lee. What we created from those parts is our own. The debate continued for hours. In the end, a compromise was reached. The Phoenix would remain under Earth's control, but the Concord would station observers at Earth's space facilities to monitor future ship construction. As they left the council chambers, Jisoo whispered to Daeho, "That was close. It's not over, replied Deho quietly. The Concord is watching us now. They won't underestimate us again. Good, said Jisoo with a smile. It's about time they took us seriously. 1 month later, Deho stood on the bridge of the Phoenix as it patrolled. The space between Earth and Mars, the ship had been repaired and improved following the battle with the Virex. The crew had grown from the original skeleton team to a full complement of 60, all wearing the new uniform of the Earth Defense Fleet. Captain, called Minho from the communication station. Incoming message from Earth Command. Put it through, said Deho. The screen showed Admiral Kang, the newly appointed head of the fleet. Captain Kim, we've received disturbing news. A Terran battle group has been detected near Jupiter. Deho frowned. The Terran Dominion was a powerful force in the galaxy, rivals to the Concorde. They were known for their aggressive expansion and their advanced military technology. What would Terran ships be doing in our system? Asked Deho. Unknown, replied the Admiral. But given the Terran's history, it's unlikely to be friendly. The Concorde has been notified, but their nearest patrol is days away. How many ships? Asked Deho. 3, 1 battle cruiser and 2 support vessels. Deho considered this information. The Phoenix had proven itself against 1 Virex raider. A Terran battle group was a much more serious threat. We can't allow them to approach Earth, he said finally. The Phoenix will intercept and assess their intentions. Admiral Kang nodded grimly. Understood. Be careful, Captain. The Terran are not raiders or pirates. They're a major military power. We'll keep that in mind, said Deho. Phoenix out. As the screen returned to its normal display, Jisoo approached the captain's chair. 3 Terran ships, she said quietly. That's not a scouting party. That's an invasion force, I know, replied Deho. But we can't wait for the Concorde. By then, the Terran could be in orbit around Earth. He turned to Yoonji at the pilot station. Set course for Jupiter. Maximum speed. Yes, Captain. Deho pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. We are moving to intercept a Terran battle group near Jupiter. Prepare for possible combat. Throughout the ship, crew members rushed to their stations. In the weapons control room, Sujin and her team checked and rechecked their systems. In engineering, Hanbin monitored the power core, ensuring it was ready for the demands of battle. How long until we reach Jupiter? Asked Deho. At maximum speed 4 hours, replied Yoonji. Deho nodded. That gives us time to prepare. Jisoo, I want all systems at peak efficiency. Hanbin, I need every bit of power you can give us. Sujin, run simulations on Terran shield configurations. I want to know their weaknesses. The crew set to work. For the next 4 hours, the Phoenix raced toward Jupiter, a small ship preparing to face a powerful enemy. The massive gas giant Jupiter filled the main screen as the Phoenix slowed to approach. Its many moons orbited the planet, tiny specks against the swirling colors of the gas giant. Scan for the Terran ships, ordered Deho. Hanbin worked his console. Found them. They're in orbit around Ganymede, the largest moon. He brought up a tactical display showing 3 ships. The largest was easily twice the size of the Phoenix. What are they doing? Asked Jisoo. They appear to be conducting some kind of survey, said Hanbin. They've landed small craft on the moon's surface. Deho frowned. Ganymede has no colonies or outposts. What could they be looking for?
Perhaps resources, suggested Minho.
Ganymede has water ice and minerals. Or they could be establishing a forward base, said Sujin grimly. From Jupiter, they could launch attacks on Mars and Earth with minimal warning. Deho considered their options. The Phoenix was just 1 ship against 3. Direct confrontation would be risky. Minho, hail the Terran vessels, he decided. Let's see what they have to say for themselves. Minho worked his console. Channel open, Captain. Terran vessels, this is Captain Deho Kim of the Earth Defense Vessel Phoenix. You have entered the Earth system without authorization. State your purpose immediately. There was a long pause before a response came. The screen showed a Terran commander. Humanoid, but with distinctive ridge-like features on his face and arms. Earth vessel, the Terran said, his words translated by the ship's computer. This is Commander Drex of the Terran Dominion. Your presence is noted but irrelevant. This system is now under Terran jurisdiction. Deho kept his expression neutral. Commander Drex, Earth is a member of the Galactic Concorde. This system is protected under Concorde law. The Terran commander made a dismissive gesture. The Concorde's protection means little when their ships are days away. We have claimed this moon. Soon we will claim others. I suggest you return to your planet and prepare for your new status as a Tarak protectorate. The screen went dark as the Tarak cut the transmission. Arrogant, muttered Sujin. And dangerous, added Jisoo. If they establish bases on Jupiter's moons, they could threaten the entire system. Daeho stood, his decision made. We can't allow that. The Phoenix may be just one ship, but we're not going to let the Tarak claim any part of our system. He turned to Sujin. Weapon status. All weapon systems at full capacity, Captain. Main cannon charged and ready. Shields? At maximum, reported Hanbin. Yunji, take us in. Combat approach pattern. Minho, inform Earth Command of our intentions. Hanbin, I want continuous scans of their ships. Look for any weaknesses. The Phoenix moved closer to Ganymede, approaching the Tarak ships. The 3 alien vessels began to change formation, preparing for a possible engagement. They're powering up weapons, reported Sujin. They're hailing us again, said Minho. On screen, ordered Daeho. Commander Drex appeared once more. Earth vessel, this is your final warning. Withdraw or be destroyed. 1 year after the battle at Jupiter, Admiral Daeho Kim stood in the massive observation deck of Earth's new space station. Below him, Earth was a beautiful blue sphere. Around it orbited dozens of ships, a fleet that had not existed just months ago. After the Phoenix's victories against the Virex and the Tarak, Earth had committed fully to building a space defense force. The technology developed for the Phoenix had been adapted for new vessels. What had once been a junkyard was now a thriving shipyard. Admiral, said a voice behind him. Daeho turned to see Jisoo, now Captain Park, commander of the second ship in Earth's fleet, the Thunderbird. Captain Park. He greeted her with a smile. How goes the patrol? All quiet, she replied. The Tarak haven't been seen in our system since Jupiter. She moved to stand beside him at the window. Hard to believe it's been only a year since we first launched the Phoenix. A lot has changed, agreed Daeho. Not just for us, but for the whole galaxy. It was true. Earth's sudden emergence as a military power had shifted the balance in this sector of space. The Galactic Concord had been forced to acknowledge that their newest member was not the primitive race they had assumed. Several other new member races, inspired by Earth's example, had begun to assert themselves more strongly. The Concord Council is still demanding a full inspection of the Phoenix, said Jisoo. Daeho nodded. And we're still finding reasons to delay. The longer we can keep our innovations secret, the better. Their conversation was interrupted by a young officer who approached and saluted. Admiral Kim, Captain Park, your presence is requested in the command center immediately. We've received an urgent message from the Concord. Daeho and Jisoo exchanged concerned looks before following the officer to the station's command center. The large room was filled with screens and control stations, with a central holographic display showing the Earth system and surrounding space. Admiral Kang, the overall commander of Earth's defense forces, stood before the main screen. He turned as Daeho and Jisoo entered. Admiral Kim, Captain Park, we have a situation, he said without preamble. The Virex have launched a major offensive against the Concord. Multiple systems are under attack. The holographic display shifted to show a map of nearby star systems. Red indicators pulsed at several points, showing attacks in progress. How bad? Asked Daeho. Worse than anything we've seen before, replied Admiral Kang. The Virex have somehow united their various factions. They're not just raiding. They're invading and occupying worlds. The Concord is struggling to respond. What does this have to do with us? Asked Jisoo. The attacks aren't in our sector. Admiral Kang touched a control and the display focused on a single star system not far from Earth. Not yet. But intelligence suggests this system will be their next target. It's home to a Concord research station and a small colony. If it falls, the next system in line would be ours. The Concord has requested our assistance, continued Admiral Kang. Specifically, they've asked for the Phoenix. Daeho raised an eyebrow. They've spent a year trying to inspect and restrict the Phoenix, and now they want our help? They're desperate, said Admiral Kang. The Phoenix has a reputation now. The ship that defeated the Virex. The ship that drove off a Tarak battle group. They believe your presence could make a difference. Daeho considered this. How many Virex ships are we talking about? At least 20, including 3 capital ships. Jisoo's eyes widened. 20? Even with all the upgrades we've made, the Phoenix can't fight that many. You wouldn't be alone, said Admiral Kang. The Concord is assembling a defense fleet. Ships from multiple member races will be there. You would join them under Concord Command. Under Concord Command? Repeated Deho. I don't like that. Neither do I, agreed Admiral Kang, which is why I've insisted that if the Phoenix participates, it will be as an ally, not a subordinate. You will coordinate with the Concord fleet but maintain independent command of your ship. Deho nodded slowly. When do they need an answer? Immediately. The Virex are expected to reach the target system within 2 days. Deho looked at Jisoo. What do you think, Captain? I think if we don't help stop the Virex there, we'll be fighting them here soon enough, she replied. And I think the Phoenix was built for exactly this kind of mission. Deho turned back to Admiral Kang. The Phoenix will go, but I want the Thunderbird to come as well. 2 Earth ships will make a stronger statement than 1. Admiral Kang considered this, then nodded. Agreed, I'll inform the Concord. Prepare your ships for immediate departure. 8 hours later, the Phoenix and the Thunderbird dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the threatened system. The ships had been heavily upgraded since their first missions. The Phoenix in particular barely resembled the patchwork vessel it had once been. Its hull was now smooth and uniform, its systems integrated and enhanced beyond what anyone would have thought possible from the original junkyard parts. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Deho studied the tactical display. The system had a yellow star at its center, with 7 planets orbiting it. The 4th planet was home to the Concord Research Station and Colony. Scan for Concord ships, ordered Deho. Hanbin, still at his post as the ship's sensor specialist, worked his console. I'm detecting 12 vessels in orbit around the 4th planet. Various designs and sizes. Must be the Concord Defense Fleet. Any sign of the Virex? Asked Deho. Nothing yet, replied Hanbin. But our long-range sensors are picking up disturbances at the system's edge, opposite our position. They could be preparing to enter the system. Open a channel to the Concord fleet, Deho instructed Minho, who remained as communications officer. After a moment, the main screen showed a Concord commander. He was of a species Deho hadn't seen before, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Earth vessels, the commander said. This is Fleet Commander Zeltos of the Concord Defense Force. Your arrival is acknowledged. Please proceed to the coordinates we are transmitting and join our formation. Commander Zeltos, replied Deho. This is Admiral Kim of the Earth Defense Force. We're here to help. But as agreed with the Concord Council, we will maintain independent command of our vessels. We will coordinate with your fleet but not integrate into your command structure. The Concord commander's 4 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his displeasure. Admiral Kim, in a combat situation, a unified command is essential. We will follow the agreed terms, said Deho firmly. We will position our ships to best support the defense effort, but they remain under Earth command. After a tense moment, Commander Zeltos nodded stiffly. Very well. Please take position near the southern hemisphere of the planet. Our sensors indicate the Virex will most likely approach from that direction. Understood. Phoenix out. Deho turned to Yunji at the pilot station. Take us to the designated position, but maintain a distance of 5,000 kilometers from the nearest Concord vessel. As the Phoenix and Thunderbird moved into position, Deho opened a private channel to Jisoo on the Thunderbird. What do you think? He asked. I think the Concord is worried, replied Jisoo. These ships aren't their frontline vessels. They've cobbled together whatever was available. Just like we did with the Phoenix, said Deho with a slight smile. The difference is, our cobbled-together ship has proven itself, said Jisoo. I'm not sure these have. Deho was about to respond when Hanbin called out. Multiple contacts. Virex fleet entering the system. The tactical display updated, showing a large group of ships moving toward the planet. Deho counted 23 vessels, including 3 massive capital ships that dwarfed everything else. They brought more than expected, said Sujin from the weapons station. Those capital ships are heavily armed. The Concord fleet is moving to intercept, reported Hanbin. Open a channel to Commander Zeltos, ordered Deho. When the Concord commander appeared on screen, Deho said, Commander, we recommend holding position near the planet. Spreading out to meet the Virex will divide our forces and make us vulnerable. We will draw them away from the colony, replied Zeltos. It is standard Concord doctrine. It's a mistake, insisted Deho. The Virex have superior numbers. They'll target your ships individually. But Commander Zeltos had already cut the transmission. The Concord ships accelerated toward the approaching Virex fleet. They're going to get slaughtered, said Sujin grimly. Not if we can help it, replied Daeho. Open a channel to the Thunderbird. Jisoo appeared on screen. I saw. The Concord is making a tactical error. We need to adapt, said Daeho. Here's the plan. We hold position near the planet. When the Virex break through, and they will, we'll be the last line of defense. Focus on protecting the colony and research station. Understood, replied Jisoo. Thunderbird standing by. The battle began as the Concord fleet engaged the Virex. At first, it seemed the Concord strategy might work. Their ships were more maneuverable and managed to damage 2 smaller Virex vessels. But then the Virex capital ships entered the fray, their massive weapons tearing through the Concord defenses. 3 Concord ships destroyed, reported Hanbin, watching the battle on sensors. 4 more heavily damaged. They're beginning to retreat. The Virex are pursuing, added Sujin. But wait, the capital ships are changing course. They're heading directly for the planet.